camera's on, Dan. On your own time, mate. On your own time, mate.
I'm on. Welcome to the path. Kassa here. So I'm going to stick to that subject of God. And now I'm going to deal with a metaphysical mindset in regards to God. So we're going to listen to Gregg Braden. And we're going to hear his mindset on God.
Mysteries of linguistics. I'm an amateur linguist. Is that every one of the ancient languages has always had numbers that represent the letters. And the science of interchanging those numbers is called gematria. And I want to just make a distinction. This isn't numerology. Numerology is a loose derivative that doesn't follow the rules of gematria. There are 32 rabbinical rules that were laid down in the 2nd century Common Era, CE, AD. They use CE now, Common Era, rather than before and after the death of Jesus. 32 rabbinical rules. And for gematria to be valid, you've got to follow those rules. So I said, if the DNA of our bodies holds a language, is it possible that the numbers could be the common link that would allow us to go from chemicals to letters? In other words, is it possible, can I read the DNA in my body like I read the letters on the page of a book? And the answer is yes. It took 20 years to figure that out. And the information in our DNA is in layers, and each layer has a different code. The first layer is considered as the introduction, just like you would have an introduction into the page of a book. So now what we're doing, Andre, is we're putting on an IT hat. And rather than looking at biology 101, where you have a cell, and in the cell you have a chromosome, and the chromosomes are made of genes, now we're looking at the cell as a library. What if the cell is a library? And every chromosome is a book, and the genes are the paragraphs and the sentences in that book. And that's exactly what's happened. It's a very different way of thinking. And I caught a lot of heat for it in the scientific community. Once I started talking about this, I lost credibility in some circles. And that's okay, because it's by crossing the traditional boundaries that have separated our way of knowing in the past that we gain new wisdom that leads us beyond the boxes. And so I wanted to go beyond the boxes. So what I did by hand initially was I went through and took all the elements in our DNA. It's primarily hydrogen, nitrogen, oxygen, carbon. This is what we are, different amounts. Hydrogen, nitrogen, oxygen, carbon. I looked at all the numbers that represent those and made a list. About that time, computers became popular, and the human genome was now available on a computer. So I could actually take DNA and look at it, what I'm actually dealing with here. At the same time, I went back into the ancient languages, and I looked for a number of the elements that would match the numbers of the ancient language. So I'm looking at the periodic table, correlating it to gematria. And there's only one number that works. Took 20 years to figure it out. And that is atomic mass. The atomic mass of the elements of our DNA correlates to the letters of the ancient alphabets. And here's the beautiful thing, is the message that it reveals is exactly the same in all four. It's the same in Arabic, the same in Hebrew, the same in cuneiform, and the same in Sanskrit, and probably other languages. But those are the 4 core languages. So when we make that substitution, when you use that numeric link, and literally into the DNA bases, cytosine, thymine, guanine, adenine, when you go into those bases and you make those substitutions, it actually spells out the answer to probably the oldest question that we've ever asked. When we say, who are we? The translation of the first layer in the DNA, the introduction of every cell in our body, reads exactly the same. And it literally, this isn't a metaphor, it literally reads the words, God eternal within the body. God eternal within the body. And the name of God that's written in our DNA is exactly the same as it's written in the oldest spiritual and religious, our most ancient and cherished spiritual traditions, that name is actually written into the DNA of our bodies. So
Okay. That's a deep thought. When I think about that, I'm like, yo, that's a deep principle. But that's a simulation theory to me.
What makes you say that?
Because that data that's coming into the DNA, it has to be coming from somewhere.
Why do you think there's data coming into the DNA? I thought the DNA is the data.
There you go. But where did that DNA come from? Did it come from procreation?
Yeah, biology.
Yes, biology. So there has to be the information. You know, there's the mother and the father. Then there's a third data of thyself that comes into being.
What do you mean third data of person?
Meaning the child, the being that's going to be conceived.
I don't understand.
Okay, this is what he's talking about, the God code, the God and the DNA, and how I'm thinking of it. Okay, if there's this thing that we call God, now a metaphysical principle, and using DNA, that there's something greater behind the DNA that goes in the DNA to be.
So you believe the DNA is our manipulation point, in essence?
No manipulation in that term, but a DNA is a copy of a higher being, thyself, a copy of who you really are, and that who you really are, that elemental particles that's creating who you really are, does not come from the universe. So the DNA becomes the material that's used to create a copy of yourself in the universe. Because DNA is part of matter. Yeah. So in a metaphysical aspect, from me thinking as a metaphysical, this data is coming from outside of the body, just as the same way we can say blood is being created in the bones, but when you go deeper and deeper and deeper, it's coming from somewhere else.
Yeah, but that's kind of irrelevant.
It's irrelevant in regards to studying this code in the DNA thyself. Not now thinking of religious terms of a God outside of you.
But I mean, you've got CRISPR, you've got this, you've got gene editing now, you've got everything.
Yeah. I know what you're saying, but this is.
We're not editing God when we edit our
No,
genes. I don't feel.
No, you're not editing. You're editing the residual part. Just you're editing a cellular copy of a dream. Because it's a simulation. I'm thinking of a simulation theory. I know the simulation theory. It's complicated and stuff, but.
Everyone's got their own idea.
Everyone's got their own
theory really is, you know.
Have you heard the concept of the kid playing in his bedroom somewhere in that dimension, and now you the physical body at the game, as a simulation?
Yes, that's in some films as well.
Yes, but I'm not going from that angle. I'm going from probably his atomic structured point of view, and then into how does it work metaphysically and spiritually. Because we do this simulation thing in dreams. We make a copy of who we are, our whole physical body in dreams. So you have to take that theory that we participate in, and we create into like a fractal. Now journey outside of it. What if it's going on also physically? What if this dream theory that we participate in, because we know we do, actually is happening physically, then outside of that it's happening even higher? What if it's part of the fractal universe? But this what I'm speaking of is how we get to be humans, how this higher aspect of the Word, in the beginning was the Word, and the Word was God. In ancient times, we'll say in the beginning was the Word, and the Word was a God. A God. Yeah. So now we're taking that aspect of the word and thinking a word is just a state of a single atomicness, like a spark. But this spark has to take on form in realities, and its realities are universes. So he uses the elements that he's talking about, or all these elements that he's talking about, in order to create atomic structures for it to exist in this, in let's say higher dimensions. Let's say before you even think of universes. Let's say just the concept of a single atom, yeah. Because as human beings are multiple of atoms. We're not just a single atom, are we? The physical body is multiplicity of atoms.
Yeah, most likely, unless you believe that everything's that one single atom that's moving extremely fast.
No, which I don't believe in that thing. I'm taking this personally as me, the human being. How does it apply to me, the human being? That's how I'm looking at this. So how do I function? How do I because this is knowledge of self. That's what I'm saying. Make it selfish. When it comes to knowledge of self, apply it to who you are. Even metaphysics, apply to who me. How does this apply to me? Spirituality, how does this apply to me? But you cannot take organized religion and say, how does it apply to you? To me, myself. They'll tell you, come to Jesus or come to God. And then that gets complicated. But if you take it as, okay, how does your metaphysics or your spirituality apply to me? That's the path I'm on. So how do the DNA apply to me? How does dreaming, me being create a part of me, who I am, the physical body, in a dream, which is, it's not in the physical reality. I know that. So how am I doing that? What if that principle is also going on higher? There's a higher entity dreaming me, the physical body. As Alan Watts says, you're out there dreaming. But what if that is happening in a simulation theory? But spiritually, metaphysically, how does it function? We know the DNA is the physical body. So the part that they're calling God, what if? Yeah. Theory, metaphysical theory. What if this aspect that they're calling God is a higher aspect to each and every single individual that chose to come into the universe? What if it's an entity, yeah, that chose to come into the universe, and when he comes into the universe, he falls into a cosmic slumber, and its dream is the human being, each and every single one of us as its own entity that is in a cosmic slumber, now dreaming that it's a human being. Like they say, God feeling how to the universe through humanity. But what if it's not God? What if it's just entities? Each single human being has an entity part that chose to come into this universe, this simulation. And now we don't have knowledge of that part of us that came into the universe. We're calling everything God. Etheric cosmic beings, God. We meet other angelic beings, God, because we've lost that aspect to who we are in the simulation theory, in the Maya from the ancient world, the matrix that we're calling it today. So there's so much about who we are, we've lost it. We don't know our cosmic citizenship nature. Literally, we've lost our nature of the cosmos and how it relates to us. And now everything is God. The creation of Adam and Eve, God. These are all things that have happened in the universe. But like I say, an entity does not come from the universe in a simulation theory. So it's a bit complicated, really deep stuff that takes you this way, and it's all about you taking responsibility in regards to what is God, and how much do I know of myself? Where the hell did I come from? That's the thing with metaphysics and spirituality. You really need to go deep into the answers. You stay on organized religion, you know what you're going to get there. Empty temples. But this is, if you're thinking about DNA, and he's saying when you put this together and that together, at the end he gets the name of God, which is in all DNA. Then you are the temple of God. And all those stuff are hidden in your religious books, pointing to you, the human being. The you are a temple of something higher. But now this something higher has been turned into God. You can be God if you take responsibility and say, okay, it's a high aspect of me. I want to know more about this temple and this God that dwells in this temple. That's when you start going on the path of knowledge yourself. Because now you want to know about this stuff you've been telling me about, go inside of myself. That gives you a work. Maybe that's why people don't want to go that way, because it's work. It's deep, serious work. It's not like going out and getting a job and getting paid and pay your bills. It's deeper than that. You got to make time to take time to study that stuff. It's work. I've gone through that. It's stress. It's work. I'm still on that. It's an ongoing path. But still, it's a better path than organized religions, or not knowing where you're going. You just... Yeah. So I think I'll leave it there for today. Next time I'll see how I can, which other God we're going to peer into. But here we're peered into the God that's dwelling within, like they say, behind the DNA, what's causing the DNA to be. Until next time, stay on the path. Yeah.